Hello, Fur Grow Falcons. I am back with A Boy Called Bat, written by Alana K. Arnold, illustrated by Charles Santoso, and published by the Walden Pond Press. And we are going to be reading the last two chapters of this book, and hopefully we'll find out whether or not Bat gets to keep the skunk kit or not. What are your thoughts on it? What do you think? Do you think Bat should be allowed to keep the skunk kit as a pet, or do you think it should be released into the wild? Well, let's find out what Bat and his mother decided. Okay, chapter 25, House Guests. There were just a few days left before Thor was supposed to leave for the animal rescue. Bat didn't have any time to lose, and all afternoon he practiced how he was going to tell Mom about Dr. Jerry Dragoo and how important it was that Thor stay with him as long as possible. But that night at dinner, he found himself nervously avoiding the topic. What if he couldn't change Mom's mind? Bat couldn't imagine anything worse than that. So instead of telling her about Dr. Jerry Dragoo, Bat said, "Israel wants to come over to our house." "Who's Israel?" asked Janie, dipping her chicken chunk into barbecue sauce. "He's a kid in my class," Bat said. "Bat, honey, that's great," said Mom. "Is he your friend?" Janie asked. Bat considered the question. Was Israel his friend? Israel was nice to him. He was interested in some of the same things that interested Bat. He didn't seem to think Bat was weird, and he wanted to visit. "I don't know," said Bat. "Maybe he is." "That's kind of a big deal," said Janie. "You've never had a friend over before." "Yes, I have," Bat said. "Ezra comes over all the time." "He's my friend, not yours," Janie said. "He can be your friend and Bat's," said Mom. "I thought you said Ezra is annoying," Janie said. "He is annoying," said Bat, "but so are you, and you are still my friend." "No one is more annoying than you," said Janie, "but I guess you're my friend too." "Neither of you is annoying," said Mom. "And Bat, I think it's great that you want to have a friend over." "Well," said Bat, dipping his chicken chunk in ketchup, "it was Israel's idea, not mine. He wants to meet Thor." At that moment, Thor was just where he should be, tucked into his pouch, warm against Bat's chest. And remembering Thor made Bat nervous all over again. "I think it's a great idea, no matter whose it was," said Mom. "I'll call Israel's parents to set something up. Maybe Saturday?" "Whenever," Bat said, and then he said, "Mom, there's something else too." "What is it?" Mom had a chicken chunk in her hand, already dipped in sauce, but she set it down. "I wrote to a world skunk expert," Bat said. The words came out fast and loud because they were important. "I wrote and asked him about keeping Thor as a pet, because I don't want to send him to the rescue people. I want to raise him here at our house. I love Thor, and I think maybe he loves me too, and I'm not ready to give him away." "Oh, Bat," Mom said, "how on earth did you find a world skunk expert?" And then Bat told her about reading in his animal encyclopedia about Dr. Jerry Dragoo, and about Mr. Grayson helping him with the email, and about waiting and waiting for a response, and about finally getting an email back, and about how Israel had wanted to read it too. "I can be a good skunk caretaker, Mom," he said at last. And then he waited to hear what she had to say. But it was Janie who spoke. "Wow, Bat," she said. "That's pretty cool. That you found an expert and wrote to him? That takes guts. I think you should let him keep raising the skunk, Mom. He's pretty serious." Bat was so surprised that he felt his mouth drop open. Janie was helping him? "Bat," Mom said, "I've been watching you with the kid. You are so responsible and careful with him. But honey, raising Thor until he's old enough to release is a big commitment. He'd have to stay with us all through the rest of the school year and through summer as well." That sounded wonderful to Bat. "The longer the better," he said. "You say that now," Mom said, "but what if you get tired of feeding him and cleaning up after him? And what about when he gets bigger and he's awake more of the time?" "Mom," said Bat, and he did his very best to make his voice sound as serious as he felt. I will never get tired of Thor. That would be like you getting tired of me and Janie. Mom laughed, and she reached over to squeeze Bat's hand. Then she shook her head, which Bat knew was the sign for no, and he felt his eyes stinging with unspilled tears. But she said, "Beautiful Bat, you have become an excellent skunk caretaker. You have been dedicated, and you have even found a way to contact a skunk expert. I have to admit, I am impressed. I'll tell you what. I'm thinking that maybe we won't call the Animal Rescue Center next week, and we can try having you take care of Thor with my help until he's old enough to release. How does that sound?" How did it sound? It sounded not as good as a promise that he could keep Thor forever, but still impossibly good. Bat felt like he was vibrating on the inside. He was so happy. He wanted to jump up and whoop with joy, but Thor was curled up and asleep in the sling, and a good skunk caretaker would never startle his kit like that. So instead he said, "Thank you, Mom, and thank you, Janie. Thank you both." So, chapter 26, How to Know Someone. When Saturday came, Bat woke up feeling nervous. What if Israel wanted to hold Thor? Would Bat have to let him? What if Israel didn't like the snacks Bat and Mom had decided on, lemonade and crackers and apple slices and cheese? Mom had asked Bat what kinds of food Israel liked and what he liked to do for fun, but Bat didn't have any answers. He had never noticed things like that. "Most kids like to play handball at recess," he told her. "Well, does Israel?" Bat didn't know, but Mom said that was okay because they didn't have a handball anyway. "Maybe you boys could plant some of the seedlings," she suggested. Mom had little plastic pots of herbs growing in the sunny kitchen window, and now that it was getting warm, it was time to put them in the garden in the backyard. "I don't know if Israel likes to plant things," Bat said. "Most kids like to dig in the dirt," Mom said. So when Israel and his dad arrived at 11:30, the first thing that Bat said when he answered the door was, "Do you like to garden?" Israel shrugged. "I guess," he said. Bat said behind him, "Invite them inside." He was blocking the doorway, Bat realized. He stepped back and said, "Come in." "Thanks," said Israel. His dad said, "Thanks so much for inviting Israel over." "Well, thanks for bringing him," said Mom. "I'm Valerie." "Tom," said Israel's dad. They shook hands. Then he said, "I'm just going to run a few errands. Can I pick him up at 2:00? After Israel's dad left, Bat said, "We have apples and cheese and crackers and lemonade, and Mom says we can plant the seedlings in the garden. And I guess if you want, you can come see my room." "Actually," said Israel, "I was hoping to meet the skunk." "Oh," said Bat. "Okay." Thor was in his enclosure. He was getting big enough to walk now, but he still wasn't steady on his feet. He seemed to know that when Bat opened the enclosure door, it was something to be excited about, because he woke up and started scooting around. "He's tiny," Israel said. Bat scooped up Thor and held him close. Thor could see now, but not very well. Skunks didn't have very good eyesight. "He's way bigger than he was," Bat said, "and he's got fur. When he was first born, he was almost bald, and he couldn't open his eyes or walk or anything." "Can I hold him?" Israel asked, putting out his hands. That sounded like a terrible idea to Bat. "Have you ever held a baby skunk before?" "No," said Israel. "I don't know," said Bat. "You might drop him." "I could sit on the floor," Israel said, "and you could hand him to me." Bat wanted to say no, but Mom said, "Bat, honey, you'd never held a skunk kit either before a few weeks ago, but you've never dropped Thor." "I don't know," Bat said again. "Would you promise to be careful?" "Yes," said Israel, "I promise." Bat wanted to be sure that Israel was taking this seriously, that he understood how important this was, being careful with Thor. So he looked straight into Israel's eyes. Maybe he could see something in there like Mom said, something that would let him know it would be okay to trust Israel. Israel's eyes were light green. They were framed by thick black eyelashes. Their pupils were round and black, just like everybody's pupils. Bat wanted to see something in Israel's eyes, but all he saw were eyes. Then he looked at Israel's hands, the way they were cupped together to form a safe little nest. He saw how Israel had overlapped his palms so that there was no way Thor could slip between them. Bat didn't know much about eyes, but he knew about hands. Mom's hands, so strong and sure when handling animals. Lawrence's hands, enormous but gentle anyway. Mr. Grayson's hands, with long fingers and interesting rings. Dad's hands, with nails clipped short and neat. Janie's hands, so clever at braiding. Here's Israel's hands. Israel's hands told Bat that Thor would be safe. So Bat placed the kit into them. He didn't even make Israel sit on the floor. "Oh, he's so light," Israel said. "He's so cute." "He's perfect," Bat said. "I'm going to learn everything there is to know about caring for skunks. Mom says we can keep Thor until he's old enough to release, and I'm going to become the best skunk caretaker in the world." Israel brought Thor up close to his face and rubbed him against his cheek. "Do you think maybe you could teach me some stuff too?" he asked. "You want to learn about the care and feeding of skunks?" Bat asked. "Yes," said Israel. Maybe they could plant the seedlings the next time Israel came over. Maybe today they could talk about skunks and research skunks and watch YouTube videos about skunks. "Okay," said Bat. Israel handed Thor back to Bat, and Bat put on the sling and tucked Thor inside. He felt the skunk scratch and turn and then settled down to sleep. "Well," Bat said, "do you want to see my room?" "Sure," said Israel. So Bat led the way through their little house, down the hall and into his room. He opened the door. "After you," he said to Israel. Before he followed Israel into the room, Bat turned to see Mom standing by the skunk enclosure. She was smiling. She lifted her hand in a little wave. She looked happy, and Bat felt happy, really, really happy. Here's Mom and Bat. He had a warm, sleepy skunk kit in a pouch around his neck, and he had a boy, maybe even a friend, visiting his room, waiting to research skunks with him. Bat didn't know how things would turn out with Thor, and he didn't know how things would turn out with Israel either. But right now, Bat felt as happy as he'd ever felt in his life. He waved back to his mom and felt his face stretch into a smile just as wide as hers. And then, with Thor tucked safely into his pouch, Bat went into his room to hang out with his friend. The end. So there's an author's note in the back of the book, and it says, "Believe it or not, there is a real Dr. Jerry Dragoo, and he really does run the Dragoo Institute for the Betterment of Skunks and Skunk Reputations." Though the fictionalized Dr. Jerry Dragoo in this book responded to Bat with a rather short email message, the real Dr. Jerry Dragoo has written extensively about skunks, their origin, history, environment, diseases, and more. If a real-life child were to write to Dr. Jerry Dragoo about the pros and cons of skunk adoption, his answer would be much more complete than the fictional email included in A Boy Called Bat. As Dr. Jerry Dragoo would tell you, owning a skunk is a complicated matter, not to be taken lightly, and illegal in many places. Please visit his website at www.dragoo.org if you would like to learn more. So that's www.dragoo.org. Heartfelt thanks to Dr. Jerry Dragoo for his input and advice. All right, so maybe one of you, or two of you, or four of you, or 10 of you will look up Dr. Jerry Dragoo on his website and learn more about skunks. So I'm going to have to figure out what's the next book. If you have any input that you'd like to give, you can email me at ljarrett@roseburg.k12.org. Until the next time, boys and girls.